One of the most famous anime of all time is a little joint called Death Note, which is about a twink named Light Yagami who finds a Polly Pocket secret diary with a factory defect where if you mention any names when talking about the boys at school you're really into, it ends up killing them, and then you're left without any potential dates to the prom, so really it's fucking useless. He uses his diary to act as judge, jury, and executioner on those who he sees unfit to live in the world. Meanwhile, another kid named L is able to figure out who he is in like 10 minutes, and then he dies. Weirdly, after L dies, mysteriously, there's just no more episodes. They stopped making them, and then there was no episodes that came afterward, and then the series was over. The series is an exploration of the idea of skewed justice and moral gray areas. For example, what gives Light the authority to kill all these people? Is it really justice if the people doing the crimes are judged exclusively on the crimes and not on the circumstances? Is it possible to look really intense and cool while eating a potato chip? The answer is yes. However, ultimately, the show is terrible because of one thing. Light is so unlikable, and everything he does makes me hate him, and that makes me hate the show too. Like, it's like if an edgy 13-year-old wrote a story about how epic and cool they were and they killed a bunch of people and nobody could stop them because they were too smart and sexy and perfect. You don't want that kind of person to win, you know? That's a shitty person. For example, there's this case of this girl whose name I forget. She idolizes Light because he killed the guy who killed her parents or something, and she devotes her life to him and helping his plans, and instead of having a genuine moment of like, oh, thank you, finally, someone understands what I'm talking about, Light is just his usual sociopath self, and he's like, oh, awesome, let's think of ways I can absolutely use and abuse you to help me. Here's a video of me in 2017 when I watched this anime for the first time. Oh, that's kind of cute. That's cute. Aw, look at the little serial killers. They love each other. Oh my god. Light, are you fucking serious? God, Light. God, could you try to be less shitty for like 2 seconds, Light? Also, the worst thing about the show is that they're actual likable characters who have the potential to beat Light, and they have interesting stories and motivations and stuff, but they all fail because Light is the untouchable god of perfection who can't fail and can't lose because he's just too cool and his hair is too cool and he's a genius. Like, remember the guy L I was talking about? He's great. He's so cool. He's a really interesting, quirky detective character, and hearing his deductive reasoning is really interesting. He's a great thwart to Light's plan because he's the same kind of unhinged, paranoid genius character that Light is, except he's actually a good person who helps others instead of being a sociopathic clown imp like Light is. And then, guess what? Light ends up killing him in the second act. Are you kidding? He's been the best character in the entire show, and he dies in the worst possible place of a 3-act story to die in. He dies in the second act. And Light is like, heh, nothing personal, kid. Like, he's so cool, and he knew he was gonna win, and it was easy. Even though, like I said, L was able to narrow the killer's location down from the entire world to a specific region of Japan in, like, 15 minutes. L's death was a signifier of the series' lack of quality, and not just because I'm a big L fan, but because the way his death is written in is clumsy and awkward and poor, and I hated it, and L should have won because Light is a big stupid idiot who I hate. The point I'm trying to make is that the protagonists are supposed to be likable. They don't have to be the good guy, but they have to be likable. A good example of this is Momonga from Overlord. He's a chaotic, neutral jackass who doesn't care about ruining lives to further his research into an unfamiliar world, but he's likable. We get to see him in his thought processes to, you know, when he's figuring out awkward situations and obstacles that he hasn't thought about. But with Light, on the other hand, when he comes to an obstacle, it's like, heh, this idiot thinks he can stop me, but I've already come up with 475 ways I can approach this and overcome this issue. What a fool you are. I'm a god. How can you kill a god? It's stupid, and he's the worst, and as a result of this, Death Note is the worst.